Morning. So, got everything we need here. Screwdriver, check. Tape, double-sided sticky tape, check. Brushless motor and ESC, check. So, today is the day the GMC Cyclone is going brushless. So, let's start by getting these removed. Now, last night, I did check to make sure that motor and ESC were compatible. They work perfectly. So, now, gotta remove that gear cover, remove the old ESC, unplug it from the receiver. Now let's start tearing it apart. So, I've got this piece, little bridge piece removed already, body clips, body. So now, move this out of the way. So now, that leaves this exposed. Now I just got to take these 4 screws out. Very simple. There's 2 screws on that side. Now, move. Let me get this out of the way here. Just so that way it's out of the way. Damn, who was the last person to put this together? Oh wait, that was me. There we go. Okay, now those 4 are removed. We can pop. Now that the gear case is popped, we can remove this. Now this is a very interesting motor plate. I've never seen a motor plate quite like this, but it's very interesting. Kind of a nice little design, so let me go ahead and get that taken off here. Now that that cover is off, remove the pinion gear, snip that little zip tie that I got holding all the wires together, and then pop that out. Okay, so I got the pinion gear off of the reactor motor. Pretty small. I forgot what I had. I think I had that in my grasshopper at one point. I don't quite remember exactly. This pinion is going to go on it. You can see it's bigger, a couple more teeth, so it should be a little faster than what was on there. But this setup is going to be a hell of a lot faster than this that we're pulling out of it right now. Now, as much as I'd like to keep this switch here, the Traxxas VXL3 ESC has that little on-off button instead of the switch, so that's going to come out. Just 2 little screws. And there it is. Now, this setup still works. The only thing is it's very slow. And the ESC is having a little bit of an issue. When you hit the throttle, it's jittery. I don't know if that's because it's old and starting to get worn, or if it's just because it's old and that's just how it is. But old system is out. Time to put this boy in here. Now the only thing that really you have to be careful with is when I get it mounted up to this engine plate, is to make sure that the pinion gear isn't sticking out too much or too little. You want full contact on the pinion to the spur. You don't want any overhang, unless the spur fits in the exact middle of the pinion and the pinion is wider. That's the only time you really want overhang, or vice versa. You really don't want half the gear to be used. You want the entire gear. You want full connection between the gears, or else you could chance destroying the gears, stripping them. So this is the one that came with it. Obviously I can put it right in the middle and it'll be perfect. So let's get that lined up and set. Now, one problem using a Traxxas ESC and a Tamiya chassis is Traxxas likes to bolt their ESCs down. It works good on all their trucks. Their trucks are really meant to take a beating. And so I know some people don't like doing this, but I got a pair of tin snips. I'm just gonna snip off both of these. Some people are gonna go, ugh, then you can't bolt it down, buh. That's why I got this. I use this double-sided sticky tape. It's from the frickin' Dollar Tree. I use it for everything. Accessories, electronics, the receivers, the ESCs, and it works great. I'll just have to scrape that off, replace it with a piece of that, and it'll be just fine. Some people, but it doesn't work like that. You gotta put the screws in. Some people are just stuck, set in their ways. Some people just don't like doing something that's a little bit different. They like just being perfect. Well, this hobby, not everything's gonna be perfect. You know, sometimes you gotta make shit custom and make it fit. Like I said, working with that kind of space to put that ESC in, it's just gonna work, and it'll be just fine. Now, with some help from the tin snips and my model nippers, nice flush cuts. Now, close enough. Unless I go like this. Make sure I'm not pinching any wires. It's a tight fit, but it's a fit. And with how tight a fit that is, I might not even need the sticky tape. So, all the wires are out and clear. No pinches. ESC. It's now plugged in. Motor will fit in perfect. So let's get it buttoned up. Now that we got this buttoned up, now be careful you're not too tight on that pinion gear, because there's a very small set screw, and you'll either strip your Allen, which I've done several times. I don't know how many of these Allens I've gone through, or you'll strip the head out of that little threaded pin. Set screws don't take much to strip out, so you gotta be very careful when you're tightening that down. Other than that, this thing's ready to go, and she just sits in here just like that. Full engagement from the gears. Now let's get the cover back on. Now, seeing as how this gear cover isn't just a cover, it actually keeps the motor mount in place. You want to make sure these are tight so that way it doesn't move around, because if there's any movement, that could also shred the gears. Especially seeing as how we're still working with the stock plastic spur gear. That might be another upgrade for down the road. I want to make sure that everything's buttoned up nice and tight, so that way you don't have any issues when it comes to the gear mesh. So that way you can actually run it and have some fun. Now, as for what's next for this truck, I'm not 100% sure yet. I might do the shocks next because these ones are a little worn. They're the original shocks that came on the chassis. They're plastic. They're non-adjustable. Whatever oil is inside of them, I could take them apart and rebuild them, but I don't like plastic shocks. I like my aluminum threaded body shocks. I buy the no-name brand, generic ones, and they work great for all applications. I've got some on my monster trucks, crawlers. I will be getting some for this truck, so that way this has aluminum threaded body shocks as well. So that might be next for this, so stay tuned for that. But now, as you can see, we're all buttoned up. ESC is in. Motor's in. Now, let me just go get a couple of small zip ties to keep these wires organized. And there we are. Bridge piece, everything's put together. Now, just to clean up these wires. Most of my batteries have Deans. This obviously was Traxxas, so I'll use this little adapter here. So that way I can use my batteries. Even though most of my batteries are interchangeable, most of my ESCs are Deans anyway, so I got them all running Deans connectors. For the test, I'm probably going to use this battery, and I'm going to probably grab a couple of my other ones, just so that way I can test it out and run it on 2-cell and see how fast she goes and see what she